Fernand interestingly opened this presentation with, are we ready? From government's perspective, you cannot afford not to be ready. We cannot afford for you not to be ready. Fernand asked me to speak about government's needs in terms of the two key pieces of legislation. I suppose I'll start with those, since I am here representing the Green Industries unit of the DTI. The two key pieces of legislation he's referred to are the carbon tax, of course, which the dust is just beginning to settle on, as well as the climate change bill. And the needs of government in terms of those two pieces of legislation, the one already here and the one coming, would be accurate reporting on GHG emissions in order to back the need for carbon budgets and in order to back the need to levy tax accurately on qualifying companies or targeted sectors. And those two pieces of legislation come from our obligations in terms of the Paris Agreement, which we signed in 2015 and ratified in 2016, and by means of which the Department of Environmental Affairs has bound South African government to phase down greenhouse gas emissions and go on a trajectory of reducing the carbon intensity of industry. And that means that your profession, placed ideally as it is going to have to lead the charge, is going to provide the exact skill set that is needed for that kind of reporting. And government and industry in this regard have the same problem. We need to know who to trust. We need to know where we can procure quality services at the right prices. We will get the right product. Industry and companies need to know that, and they report to DIA and the National Treasury, and government needs to know that too. So the system being proposed is ideally suited to the efficient rollout of the legislation proposed. I think those are two very particular pieces of legislation, but the issue goes further than that, and I know you didn't mean for me to go this far, but at a national, subnational level, especially in terms of government's green building plans and the sustainable planning and procurement plans of municipalities. Now, municipalities render resource-based services, water, electricity, sanitation, and waste management. They are going to require the services of this group of people in order to be able to deliver sustainable planning and procurement for the future, in order to do life cycle costing, to make sure that they procure and build infrastructure that is actually going to alleviate our resource problems, that is actually going to deliver services at the best possible sustainable price, that means over its whole life cycle, to communities in South Africa. So the need is much greater than climate change bills and carbon tax. And I said in the beginning that it's not just us, industry needs to know too. We're just like any other client. And if none of this legislation existed, if there was no carbon tax, no climate change bill, no minimum energy performance standards, no energy efficiency labeling for appliances and small industrial equipment, those are all in the pipeline, the private sector would still have a problem. Industry would still have a problem, because the world is moving very decisively away from conventional dirty production. And carbon is the new factor of production. It is now just as important as input prices, labor prices, the price of energy, the price of water, materials. It is now essential for them to know and quantify that. It is essential for them to prove that they're working on reducing the burden. And this is known in the parlance as environmental sustainability, social and governance investment, ESG. And we'll focus on the environmental sustainability part. Now, we at Green Industries, we track the investment trends, and we've seen from Bloomberg, Reuters, Financial Times, and all the stock exchanges, this sector is substantial. And any new investment that's going to occur in any current industry is going to have to come from here, because all other investment is declining. We have a number from the Financial Times of $4 trillion currently, the market cap, which is about 6% of the global market cap, which is equivalent to the size of the fossil fuel industry. The only difference is this number is growing, and the investment in fossil fuels is declining, and there's no turning that trend back. It is diversified. It is spread across large cap, mid cap, small cap, even though the mid cap and smaller cap market capitalization companies are more numerous. And what we've seen in that space is that it is those companies who do not have sunk costs in conventional production who are better able to come along in this new green revolution. We've also seen that this sector or this type of investment is outperforming its conventional counterparts within the same sectors. That's over the last 5 years. So with or without any legislation from government, the need for your industry, the need for you to quality assure, to vet, to ensure that the clients needing to procure the services know what they're buying and are sure that they're buying the right thing at the right price. The demand is only growing. And I think NCPC has surpassed our expectations. We had an IPAP item for them on this particular matter, and all we said was for them to raise awareness. That was it, raise awareness over 3 years. I think Wynand has exceeded our expectations, having gone this far, gotten to this point, in providing this very, very necessary service and way of evaluating the skill sets in RECP. Thanks.